Good evening. Good evening, one and all. It's November 4th, which is the night after November 3rd. So, how are you this evening? It's been an interesting day after an interesting evening. So what a great time to come together in spiritual community to meditate together, huh? So tonight we're going to do our opening ritual, share a reading from Start Where You Are, which we're almost through this book, and then we'll work through another one. And tonight has an interesting reading. And then we'll meditate for about 20 minutes or so, and then have a healing prayer treatment at the end. Okay. So, and by the way, if this is your first time here, my name is Reverend Michael McMorrow. I am the spiritual director here at the Center for Spiritual Living in Granada Hills, California. And I'm joined by our friend Michael Carlin, who's taking care of the technology for us so that we can do that. So if you want to give him a little chat and say, "Thank you, Mikey," that would be good. All right. So let's just take a deep, conscious breath together. And just release the day. That felt so good. Let's do another one. Deep, conscious breath. And just sigh it out. As we come together for our call to service, which we call lighting the flames of faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Now, fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here this evening. So the first candle is lit for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. The eighth candle we light for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And the 10th candle we light for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of spirit in their lives, and for the space we hold for them here at our center, in our online community, and within our own hearts. And you see behind me the healing candle. Please put silently into the light, or even aloud, the names of anyone you wish to have experienced the healing flame of God's eternal love. Tonight I'd like to place Patricia Carland in the healing candle.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I'm one with the Spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I surrender. I surrender. I'm one with the Spirit all around me. I surrender. I surrender. I trust in God.
And taking another deep breath and releasing and using the breath to anchor us in this eternal now moment, knowing that there is but one power, one presence, one source, one living intelligence, one infinite heart expressing in, through, and as all of creation, manifesting, making itself known through all of life. There is no spot where God is not, so right where we sit, God is. And so each within our own way connects with this divine flame within. As we know, this meditation evening is unfolding in right and perfect order. That we release any sense of judgment as to what our meditation is supposed to look like, how we're supposed to be, what the mind is supposed to do, or some gigantic insight that we may have an expectation of, that we just release all of that and just allow ourselves to be. This is a tremendous freedom and the promise of meditation. So having released our attachment to how this is supposed to unfold, we just naturally and easily and gracefully slip into the flow of the moment. Allowing it to be the free expression and dance with the Spirit as we release it and let it be so. With gratitude and in confidence, we let it go. And together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is. So this is I've had a very ministerial day today. I've spoken with several ministers in our area in a position that I have in that regard. And it's always great to connect with colleagues. And there was just a lot of laughing and a lot of joy about this, this crazy, unique experience that we find ourselves in presently. And and not speaking about the election, but rather doing ministry in a public health challenge. And to hear that people are doing well and staying healthy, right? So I'm grateful for our community. I'm grateful that people are staying strong, that their immune systems have continued to be resilient, and deeply appreciative for the support, not only the financial support, which is important, of course, but for the support of the many classes, the Sunday services, at the meditation, right? So even though you're not here, I know you're out there. And it makes a difference. And your brothers and sisters in this spiritual community, of which, if this is your first time visiting, you have brothers and sisters in spiritual community, that we're all knowing this together, and that's real and significant. And that's coming on the heels of visiting with my minister colleagues, and then having a very sweet visioning exercise with my present foundations class, which I'm facilitating with Reverend Jessica, and just a really strong class. And it lifts a minister's heart to see people come alive with the promise of life by means of their spiritual practice. So it's good stuff. And then you have these giants like Pema Chodron, and she'd probably laugh at that, but she really is. She's a very prolific writer, and she writes well. And so this book, Start Where You Are, has been perfect for a pandemic. Right? Because what else are we going to do? Right? So, in fact, while I'm expressing gratitude, I want to express gratitude to my dear beloved Stephanie, because we're still talking to each other after being cooped up together for 7 months. So there's a lot to be grateful for, yeah? So as we go through this book, so there's many slogans that Pema's been sharing with us that come out of her Zen practice. So some of them that we've gone through so far, let's see. Don't be swayed by external circumstances. We did that a couple of weeks ago. Don't vacillate. We've covered that. Don't expect applause, I think we did last week. And so this week we've arrived on page 127. And the slogan for this evening is, don't misinterpret. So isn't this interesting? In this moment of time, when there's all kinds of messages going on out there, and you know where, and you know by whom, don't misinterpret. Don't impose the wrong notion of what harmony is, what compassion is, what patience is, what generosity is. Don't misinterpret what these things really are. So here's something. There is compassion, and then there's what Pema calls idiot compassion. There's patience, and there's idiot patience. There's generosity, and then there is idiot generosity. Isn't that funny? For example, trying to smooth everything out to avoid confrontation, not to rock the boat, is not what is meant by compassion or patience. It's what is meant by control. Ooh. Then you are not trying to step into unknown territory to find yourself more naked with less protection and therefore more in contact with reality. Instead, we use the idiot forms of compassion and so forth just to get around. When we open the door and invite in all sentient beings as our guests, you have to drop your agenda. Many different people come in. Just when you think you have a little scheme that is going to work, it doesn't work. It was very beneficial to Juan, but when you tried it on Mortimer, he looked at you as if you were crazy. And when you tried it on Juanita, she got insulted. Coming up with a formula won't work. If you invite all sentient beings as your guests while just wanting harmony, sooner or later you'll find that one of your guests is behaving badly, and that just sitting there cheerfully doing your Tonglen and trying to cultivate harmony doesn't work. So you sit there and you say, okay, now I'm going to make friends with the fact that I am hurting and afraid and this is really awful. But you're just trying to avoid conflict here. You just don't want to make things worse. Then all the guests are misbehaving. You work hard all day, and they just sit around smoking cigarettes, drinking beer, eating your food, and then beating you up. You think you're being a warrior and a bodhisattva by doing nothing and saying nothing, but all we're really being in that situation is a coward. We're afraid of making this situation worse. Finally, they kick you out of your house, and you're sitting on the sidewalk, and somebody walks by and says, "What are you doing sitting out here?" And you say, "I'm practicing patience and compassion." Pema says that's missing the point. Even though you've dropped your agenda, even though you are trying to work with situations instead of struggling against them, nevertheless, you have to say, you can stay here tonight, but tomorrow you're going. And if you don't get out of here, I'm calling the police. You know what that's called? A boundary. and a clear boundary, right? Being clear is kind. Being clear is kindness expression. Being unclear is unkind and cowardly if you're conscious of it. You don't really know what's going to benefit somebody, but it doesn't benefit anybody to allow someone to beat you up, eat all your food, and put you out on the street. So don't misinterpret. Really gets at the notion of the big squeeze. It's saying that you don't know what's going to help, but you need to speak and act with clarity and decisiveness. Clarity and decisiveness come from the willingness to slow down, to listen and look at what's happening. They come from opening your heart and not running away. Then the action and the speech are in accord with what needs to be done for you and for the other person. We make a lot of mistakes. If you ask people whom you consider to be wise and courageous about their lives, you may find that they have hurt a lot of people, have made a lot of mistakes, but they use those occasions as opportunities to humble themselves and to open their hearts. We don't get wise by staying in a room with all the doors and windows closed. So there's that metaphor again from Pema, the idea of closed doors and windows. So it's a very courageous way to live, isn't it? to invite all sentient beings. So that's quite a challenge. And for those of us who consider ourselves very spiritual, right, it becomes even more important to be more inclusive, right? To invite all sentient beings, but also to be clear, right? To be clear in our communications of our boundaries, and that, excuse me, any person is always acceptable, but not all behavior is acceptable. So that's put pretty simply, and I got that from one of my minister friends, so I'd love to take credit for that, but I can't. It's Reverend Bobby Becker down in Namaste. So thanks, Rev. So isn't this an interesting practice for this evening? Don't misinterpret, right? Bring clarity to the situation. To not practice idiot compassion or idiot generosity. So another way of saying that in the psychological, don't have sloppy boundaries, right? So I got to tell you, that's a good one for ministers too. At least this one. That's one thing about when there's nobody here. So, yeah. But I'm ready to know that this COVID is behind us and folks are here sooner rather than later. All right. So enough of that. Let's meditate. So if this is your first time, all we're doing is focusing our attention on the breath in the nostril. And then when we get to detecting that, see if we can detect it on the upper lip. And then we're using sensation in the body to focus the mind. And so what happens is we naturally are thinking the chatter of the mind stills. And with practice, we can enter a meditative state, which is a state of consciousness that is peaceful abiding. I guess this is as good a way to say it. So let's just start by taking a deep conscious breath. And release. And check our seat and get any giggles and jiggles out of the way. Oh, maybe a little crack here and there. And I just like to check my seat and sit erect. And then return to the breath. So we're just focusing our attention on the movement of the breath in the nostril. And if that's available to you, see if you can detect the movement of your breath on your upper lip. And then starting with the bottom of the feet, just bringing our attention to the bottom of our feet and the movement of the breath in the nostril. So observing sensation up the legs. If there's any tension, releasing that tension. So how do we do that? We breathe into it. So we focus on where that tension is without tensing up, right? Staying relaxed. And then we just breathe deeply and release. Isn't that interesting how that works? And return back to the breath. So the belly is rising and falling with the breath easily, effortlessly, naturally. We're not forcing anything. And if you feel some tension in your lower back, just tuck your tailbone in underneath a little bit. Just feel that release and allow the chair to support you. Following the breath. Straight spine, free of tension. Chin slightly downward. Down the arms, just scanning for sensation, for tension. Into the throat. Let's take a deep breath here. And on the release, just feel the drop in the shoulders. Exhale all the way out. Just feel the natural in-breath. So, following the breath, releasing the tongue, breath on the upper lip, as you go deeper, you may feel sensation above the eyebrows, the third eye region, or the top of the head. One more deep breath now, and release as we move into the silence now. About 15 minutes. Staying with the breath. Bringing our attention slowly into the room. We're going to use the breath to bring some light, the awareness of light within the body temple. So, imagine with me that there's this eternal flame in your heart center, and that with each in-breath, that this flame is being fanned. Breathing in the light that's all around us, breathing in light, letting that light commingle with the light within, and exhaling love. Breathing in light, exhaling love. Breathing in light, exhaling love. So with each breath then, we are fanning this flame, and it's growing in brilliance and illumination. A light that illumines, does not consume, so that we have this ball of light in our heart center, staying with the breath. And this ball of light now is expanding in the way that you'd blow a balloon. Breathing in, fanning that flame, this light is growing ever more brilliant and expansive. So now that we have this globe of light at our heart center, side to side, front to back, top to bottom. Staying with the breath, breathing in light. Exhaling love. So now we're now sitting in this field of light and love. Staying with the breath. So now the very room where we sit is illumined and enlightened and enlivened by the light of Spirit, the love of Spirit. We're breathing it. It is breathing us. We're feeling the body temple being strengthened. So as we bathe in this awareness of love and light, we recognize and know that there is but one power, one presence, one source, one life, one light, one love, impressing and expressing itself in, through, and as all of creation. So this power, this presence, this light, this love, we are breathing in and attuning as it commingles within the body temple, that we recognize and know that that eternal presence within has that pattern of perfection expressing. That with every breath, every atom, every molecule, every cell, every organ, every muscle, every bone is aligning with and attuning to this pattern of perfection within. That we are feeling a sense of vitality and strength within the body temple, knowing this pattern of perfection is expressing itself as radiant good health in every way. And as we know this for ourselves, we are knowing this in this moment for Patricia Carlin. That the pattern of perfection is expressing itself and co-creating as radiant good health, recognizing the intelligence within this pattern of perfection, within the medicines, within the healing modalities of her current experience, that we know that with every breath that we are breathing for her in this moment, breathing in light and exhaling love, and that the body is restored to homeostasis with an immune system that is strong and vital and functioning optimally in every way. Take a deep breath and release this for her. So we know further for ourselves that this light and love is enlightening every neuron, every wrinkle of our cortex is firing now with the divine energy of life intelligence. That we are now open at the top to receive the divine impress of creativity for new and dynamic ideas to any challenge or problem, seeming problem that may be presenting itself, that we are intuitively guided to the right and perfect solution. Take a deep breath and release. That we know for our heart that we are open in this moment, and in this heart opening moment that all of our relationships are aligned to the divine song of peace, of harmony, of connection, of a law of circulation, of love that flows easily and effortlessly between all. That we take a deep breath and release that. And so know that we are now all aligned and tuned up. We just allow the expression of light and love to be the experience of our life. That as we hit the pillow tonight, we do so drifting off to sleep easily and effortlessly, sleeping deeply and restfully, having sweet dreams, that we awaken feeling rested and full of vitality, of vim and vigor and a zest for life, that we meet the day with a sense of excitement and openness and spontaneity to the joy and spontaneous expression of life and love as our life expressing with the divine. So we take a deep breath. And for those cares, for these intentions, for this word, we just release all of it to that aspect of the mind of the divine itself, acting as law that knows only to say yes. So in deep gratitude for the many blessings in our life, for clean water to drink, a roof over our head, for the safe, and successful transition of power, which is our political system, that we know that all of that is unfolding easily through the proper channels, that discord is met with peace and harmony, and out of many, one. Taking one more deep breath. And in confidence, we release it to the law, knowing it is done. And together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is. Amen. So, I guess we ran out the Omen Bros tonight. So, I hope that was good for you, it was good for me, and if part of my foundations class is here, good on you. You know, you get gold stars tonight for a visioning meditation and then a healing meditation. So, we have all kinds of things going on here at the Center for Spiritual Living in Granada Hills, our website. You're here on our YouTube channel now. If you'd like to support our center, you can do that by hitting the PayPal icon, and you'll be directed on how to be as generous as you care to be. And you're welcome to join us on Sunday mornings at 10:30 right here on the YouTube channel. If you go to our website, cslgh.org, you'll find that we have ongoing classes, and you can drop us an email and get on our electronic newsletter that will keep you apprised of all the upcoming stuff. All of it online, and creatively so, I might add. So we have great staff here of ministers and practitioners and wonderful people that you can meet online through the chat. So if you are new, make yourself known. Let us know you're out there, and we'll love up on each other and keep us all strong and healthy and vital. And until we meet again here online, stay safe, stay strong, wear a mask, wash your hands, stay healthy, and go in peace. Love to you. Peace and blessings.